What is...
Moving away from its RPG roots, the original Dissidia Final Fantasy traded turn-based battles for real-time action duels. Featuring an all-star cast from the franchise, it told an original story that celebrated the series' diverse incarnations, while also presenting an odd yet satisfying approach to character action. But in aiming for a more competitive focus, along with some half-hearted offerings for solo content, the newest installment, Dissidia Final Fantasy NT from Square-Enix and Team Ninja, loses sight of what makes the Final Fantasy series so memorable, resulting in a hollow journey through a franchise's storied history.
Squall, wait! What is it?
Is it another summon?
When the warring gods Materia and Spiritus call forth the heroes and villains to engage in a new fight for the fate of their collective universes, the warriors soon realize that there is a greater threat lurking in the background, forcing rivals to set aside their differences to take on the encroaching menace. Much like its predecessors, Dissidia NT is very much a celebration of the Final Fantasy mythos, set across different locales from the series' past, including Final Fantasy I's Cornelia and VII's Midgar. Several of the stages recreate the same style and tone found from their respective titles, along with the return of iconic musical themes and other references to past titles, including the appearance of the tutorial Mugo who continues to overstay his welcome.
Use your skills, Mugo!
The brawler pays great attention to creating a mashup of the most iconic elements from 30 years worth of noteworthy games. Dissidia NT's story campaign makes attempts to justify the backdrop of its chaotic slugfest, while offering some room for fan service. Taking control of several heroes from the Final Fantasy series, they'll fight against their own rivals and corrupted copies of other characters as they come to grips with the reality of their present battle.
My home. No.
I see. Then I'll destroy it. How does that make you feel?
While the many cutscenes throughout are charming, the story as a whole feels undercooked, even disregarding some of the newcomers to the roster. This is made worse by some rather odd choices in how you go about experiencing the narrative. Story progression uses a node-based system, with cutscenes and key battles costing Memoria to unlock. You'll often have to grind experience in the game's other modes to earn more tokens for the campaign. This ultimately makes the campaign a fragmented experience you can't go through at your own pace, weakening the impact of the story's more meaningful encounters, often building up dramatic fights that you've already experienced several times over.
Do you remember me? You were lucky enough to defeat me once.
Garland, how did I know you would be here?
To switch things up during the story, your party will engage in boss battles against several of the game's summoned monsters. But while the scale of these fights are impressive, and the game's visual luster shines throughout, these battles also present massive difficulty spikes in the campaign. Given that they're capable of wiping out your party in single moves with ease, these large battles feel more like clumsy exercises in trial and error, rather than a culmination of your skill. With a roster of well over 20 characters, including familiar faces such as the brooding loner types Cloud Strife and Squall Leonhardt, along with newcomers Ramza and Noctis from Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy XV respectively, there's an impressive set of brawlers to choose from, each with their own unique playstyles.
Finish that foe, Kubo!
Dissidia's action will force you into split-second decisions to make sure your hits count. By building up attack power with non-lethal brave attacks, draining your opponent's power in the process, you'll be able to deal greater amounts of raw damage to your opponents with lethal HP attacks. Moreover, collecting energy from randomly placed crystals will allow your team to call in your chosen summon monster, turning the flow of battle in your favor. Battles are set in large arenas, so you'll constantly be on the move utilizing defensive maneuvers along with support spells and buffs to stay one step ahead of your rivals. Combat is mostly kept at a relentless pace, and when you're in the thick of it, the fighting system allows players to exhibit some rather clever strategies, rewarding those who can read their foe's next move. While this system may come off as a bit overwhelming for newcomers, the generous tutorial mode will put you through your paces to learn all the necessary mechanics to survive.
Use your skills, Kubo!
The 3-on-3 format makes for more hectic battles, and while these are fun to take part in for most of the time, they often result in overly busy encounters with all fighters bunching up, made slightly worse by an overstuffed user interface. The camera also struggles to keep up with the action, which is especially frustrating on the higher difficulties or during online play. As you clear through battles and increase your player rank and character level, you'll acquire gil for use in the item shop. While you can buy cosmetics and collectibles in-game, you can also find treasure packages yielding a set of randomized rewards. Though rest assured, you can acquire every item on your own, as there are no real money microtransactions in the game whatsoever. Dissidia NT's online experience is a big focus for the game, including ranked matches, along with custom games tuned to your own preferences. You'll be up against skilled players who are looking to boost their rep online. Unfortunately, simply waiting to take part in online battles can be a chore. During the first week of the game's release, online matchmaking took upwards to 3 to 5 minutes to get a game going. Moreover, several of the matches were burdened with sudden lag spikes and skipping, resulting in some rather uneven encounters. What's most disappointing is that in going in headstrong into its competitive multiplayer angle, Dissidia NT doesn't offer much outside of it. If the online multiplayer and repeat excursions into the Gauntlet mode don't interest you in the long term, then you may find yourself with few reasons to proceed with the game's already repetitive offerings. For all its attempts to honor Square Enix's long-running series, Dissidia Final Fantasy NT stumbles far too often when trying to replicate the heart of the series it's paying tribute to. While it manages to offer fun and responsive combat, along with an infectious charm throughout, it struggles to advance much from the previous Dissidia titles, with a story that's fed piecemeal behind arbitrary gating, several combat encounters that feel out of place, and unreliable online systems that don't function when you need them to. This online brawler isn't able to live up to the series it steadfastly tries to celebrate.
At least make it interesting.